review of the Edgenuity lesson, quadratic functions, standard form. This lesson is mostly about graphing quadratic functions. And so when you graph a quadratic, remember that's anything that has an x squared in it, and the squared is the highest exponent, you get what's called a parabola. And so that's a U shape. If the number in front of x squared, like ours here, is negative, then your parabola would open down. And so when that happens, you at the very, very tippy top, that's called the vertex. And if it's opening down, this becomes your maximum, the very highest point on your graph. Now, if you have the number in front of x squared is positive, you have a parabola that opens up. And so now your vertex is at the very, very, very bottom. So that's the lowest it goes, and that's the minimum. So again, those are the vertex. Going through the vertex, you have what's called an axis of symmetry. And what that does is it's like a mirror line. It cuts your parabola exactly in half, and if you were to fold it along that line, everything would line up perfectly. So here we have an axis of symmetry. So to find the coordinates of your vertex, you use the expression negative b over 2a. Remember, that's where you get the number in front of your x squared is a, the number in front of the plane x is b, and then the constant at the end is c. We don't need c for this expression. Then whatever you get here for the x coordinate of the vertex, you just plug it back in to get the y coordinate that goes with it. So for ours, if we get started here, cover that up for a minute. We're going to graph y equals negative 3x squared plus 6x plus 2. So for ours, the number in front of x squared, a, is negative 3. The number in front of the plane x is 6, so that's b. And then our constant is 2, the number with no variable on it. So again, we're going to use the equation negative b over 2a. So we get negative 6 over 2 times negative 3. So that's negative 6 over negative 6, which is 1. So I know that the x-coordinate of my vertex is 1. Now, to get the y-coordinate that goes with that, all we're going to do is we're going to take our x-coordinate and plug it in. We need to figure out what y goes with the value of 1. If you struggle with the order of operations, I would say just plug this in your calculator exactly the way it looks. We'll go ahead and evaluate though. 1 squared is 1, so negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2. So negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3, plus 2 is 5. So the y-coordinate that goes with that x there is 5. So I'm going to graph that point really quick. So there's my vertex right there. Now, I know that this is going to be a maximum because the number in front of x squared is negative. So that means it's going to be a parabola that opens down. So from there, what Edgenuity wants you to do is go ahead and find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Okay, so I've accidentally chosen a function that does not factor, so we're not going to be able to find the x-intercepts. So we're just going to stop this example where we just found the vertex there, and we're going to try a different one, but we're still going to answer all these questions. So instead, start over here. Let's graph so that it matches what they're doing in Edgenuity. X squared minus 2x minus 3. Okay, so again, we're just going to get another example here. I'm going to write it here on my graph paper. So let's practice again finding the vertex. So the equation we're going to use is negative b over 2a. In this example, a, the number in front of x squared, is just 1. B, the number in front of the plane x, is negative 2. And c, the constant, is negative 3. So negative 2, because b is negative as well, over 2 times a, which is 1. So negative negative 2 is positive 2. 2 times 1 is 2. So that gives us 1. So again, the x-coordinate of our vertex is 1. So to get the y-coordinate that goes with that, we just plug it in. So 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 3 more is negative 4. So the coordinates of our vertex are 1, negative 4. Now on this one, I know that my vertex is going to be a minimum because this 1 in front of the x squared is positive, so our parabola is going to open up. Okay, so there's our vertex. Now, always through your vertex, you have what's called an axis of symmetry. So right when you put that in there, go ahead and dash in a vertical line straight through your vertex. And the equation of that line is always x equals whatever the x-coordinate of your vertex is. Whatever that value is there, that's the equational line. And you just write it as x equals 1. Okay, so now, like I was saying before, next Edgenuity wants you to find the x-intercepts. So to do that, you plug 0 in for y. And whenever you have an x squared and an x in an equation, you have to factor it to solve it. So we have to decide, we have no number in front of x squared, so what two numbers multiply to make negative 3 and add to make negative 2? Negative 3 times 1 is negative 3, and negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. So from there, and we're not quite done yet, you have to set each individual factor equal to 0. So add 3 to both sides, subtract 1 from both sides. So our x-intercepts are going to be at 3 and at negative 1. Okay, and look at that. They mirror each other perfectly there. Next, we find the y-intercept. And when you do that, 0 in for x. So 0 squared is 0 minus 0 minus 3. So it ends up with 0 minus 3, so negative 3. So our y-intercept is here. And from there, you can just sketch it in. Okay, so some questions that you might get in your quiz. We're going to do it pertaining to this graph here. It says, what is the domain? So the domain for quadratic functions is always going to be all real numbers. The range, those are the y values, is going to depend on where your vertex is. So the y-coordinate of my vertex here, I said, was negative 4. And then my parabola goes up. So all my y values are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The lowest that they're going to be is negative 4. So everything greater than, so y has to be greater than or equal to negative 4, because it goes from negative 4 up. Intervals where the graph is increasing. So when we read, we go from left to right. So you have to look at your graph from left to right. So for increasing, as I go across, we're going down, 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 down. Oh! And then right here, it stops, turns around, and starts going up, up, up. So right here, when the x value was 1, that's when it started to go up. So it's increasing from 1 to infinity. So the intervals where our graph is decreasing. So it goes down, 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 and then again it stops at 1. So this whole section is going down, 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 down from negative infinity up to 1. And that's it.